Go.
Florida takes aim at Starbucks' DEI policies. Are these diversity, equity, and inclusion programs becoming discriminatory? Let's go.
You'll know when it is, and then you can take over. Welcome to another episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. I'm your host, Joel Hoxley, and your host, Kellen Clark.
All right. So the clash between Florida's investigation into Starbucks' DEI policies and the company's commitment to diversity underscores the complex dynamics between state regulations and corporate inclusivity efforts. Joel, what's your read?
Look, I get it. Like, I understand the whole concept, but has it gotten to the point where it's just out of control? I think that we put too much emphasis on it, and it becomes more of a bashing session over some over majorities, and at least the way it looks is everybody else gets ahead, and you just have to accept it.
Yeah, and I mean, I get, and again, I'm a lot like Joel here, where the broad concept, I think, there is certainly an undeniable thing. It was long understood that management was to be held by white people in this country for many, many, many decades. Of course, nowadays things are changing, and that is for the better, I think, just across the board. And that's where these things came across. It was for management mostly. What confuses me a little bit about what Starbucks is doing is why they're pushing so hard for the retail workers, and those ground level workers, making sure that we set a quota on the baseline. That seems a bit unusual to me. I mean, does not read unusual to you?
Yes, and that's why Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody is doing an investigation on Starbucks. Here's a quote: "So many of these DEI policies that have been pushed in corporate America that were meant to address and prevent discrimination are now pushing policies and programs and initiatives that many, in fact, be unlawful employment practices, in fact, becoming discriminatory themselves," Moody said.
And what law specifically were they breaking, and what part of their mission statement was it? Do we have that down?
Well, Moody filed a complaint with the Florida Commission on Human Relations. She launched a full investigation. The hiring program that caused every employee to determine whether they are the problem based on the color of their skin.
Just to play devil's advocate here for a moment, Joel, if you don't have diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, what's stopping managers from hiring people exclusively based on their own preferences on those low level parts? What's stopping them?
Well, the whole program. Look, we're not hiring based on the color of somebody's skin if we're doing our job correctly. If we're doing what the interview correctly, if we're trying to find the right person that's going to fill that position, you want somebody who's competent, you want somebody who can make the coffee or whatever the need that your company has, you should have, these are the skills that this person has to bring to us. And if you do that, you will get a variety of different people. But you have to have a variety of different people applying at your organization. Are you going to, if you have blacks and whites and no Hispanics applying at your organization because of the neighborhood you're in, how are you going to recruit a Hispanic? Are you going to go way out because I don't have a Hispanic? Because there's no Hispanics in the neighborhood? I mean, that's how far this goes. Like, I
Yeah.
need to make sure that when I walk in there, I see man, woman, Black, Hispanic, you know,
Yeah.
it gets
The
out of control.
yeah, and something that's important to know about very quota heavy policies. Not necessarily like your baseline levels of, don't discriminate based on on skin color, yada yada. Have at least one of something in every corporate level, but these more hard set quota type deals is that it's very much an image thing. A lot of these companies are heavily invested with, traded publicly, and that often means through intermediaries. Your Blackstones, your Charles Schwabs of the world, and what you commonly see is that CSR activities, their public relations, are there to label them as a responsible company. What that does is it gets them onto different funds, responsible company funds, which people like investing in because they want to be responsible. Is also, very much an image thing. Because you're right, Joel, if people are coming in and, a variety of people are not applying, that can look bad on Starbucks. Like, Starbucks might be wondering, wait, are we not catching a certain demographic because none of them work here? It might be a little bit of a strange way to put it, but that could be a logic behind it. And then, of course, it's an image thing.
Well, if I'm living in a neighborhood, if I'm living in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and I go to the Starbucks, I'm probably going to be pretty surprised if it's predominantly white. I mean,
Yes.
because most people that work at Starbucks are trying to be close to work so they don't have to travel far
Because gas
distances.
is
They want to
expensive.
make sure that they, and if I'm hiring in a neighborhood, I'm hiring from the neighborhood, most likely. Look, I expect certain things when I go to certain places, and it's not because of race or anything. It's because of where that place is located. It's location, location, location.
Yeah.
If I go to the Hamptons and I go to Starbucks and I see a predominantly Black Starbucks, I'm going to wonder how far these individuals are traveling
To go to
to
work.
go to work. I
And
mean,
and
because
and
I've been to the Hamptons and I'm sorry, it's not very, diverse. And I'm sorry if
it's
you
not a
want to,
diverse area.
we're going
It's
to
not.
truck you in. We're going to truck you into Starbucks today because we need to make sure we make a quota.
I
It's not going to work. I'm
I would
sorry.
I would be it would be silly of me to not spin the story the opposite way, because David and I were joking about this prior. Starbucks tries to get minorities into minimum wage positions is something that can definitely sound bad depending on how you look at it, right?
Well, I would hope you're putting them in management positions. I want them to be running. I want them to be running these stores because everybody has the skill, and the skills is
Right.
what you're hiring for, and those skills should be promotable because that's what it's all about. You start at this beginning level and you don't stay at the beginning level. It's all about getting that promotion, running that darn Starbucks,
Mobility.
then taking over the district and making sure that you become the
Eh,
corporate guy. That's what it's all about, and that's what we miss in today's society is nobody getting promoted within because we keep
yes.
bringing all these people from outside the organization because we're trying to meet different standards that don't need to
And
exist.
and and briefly spilling over into discussion well outside the scope of this, the not valuing of employees issue that we often see, raises becoming lower, like the raises in pensions and whatnot not being as good as they used to. And it's now well known in the corporate world that the best way to make money is to job hop. And that is just an unfortunate reality of where we are right now. It's been proven to be the more effective strategy. And I think a lot of it is both as a result of companies not caring, and of course companies caring less is also a response to that. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way. And yeah, that makes it harder to be promoted within companies if they're just going to assume that you're going to hop anyways. And being able to go up in your company, being able to move upwards mobility is an important way to solve discrimination.
Well, I always enjoyed the fact that I was always rewarded for hard work.
Mhm.
When I started working for Target, because my wife said, "You suck at retirement." So I went to work at Target and I threw boxes in the back of a store, and that was entry level. And I didn't care. I enjoyed it. It was fun. But then an opportunity for the backroom captain came available. And nobody applied except for me because everybody just expected that I would be the one to take it. Now, I appreciate that, but I would have loved the competition on that one. But when I went to become an executive team lead with Target Corporation, I was competing with others that I had to get enrolled in school. I had to have certain criteria. So I did all those things.
Yeah.
But it's very unusual to get promoted to an executive from that level, because what they've been doing is they go to the schools, they get the interns, they intern at the higher level, and they bring the college graduates into those positions. So it felt really good to have competed with them to get that job.
Yeah.
And
Did you? Did you
yeah,
get it?
of course I got it. Of course I did. I don't stop. Like if I left Target and I did the same thing with my next company. Started at the entry level, worked my job, worked my way up to director of admissions in a Kaplan University. Every job I've done, I started at the beginning. Army, private, worked my way up all the way to retirement. That's commitment. And you don't see that today. But if I was stopped because I was white and overlooked because they needed somebody underqualified to take that job, or if we were equally qualified and it was just skin color, that would have been disappointing. Would have been disappointing.
Yeah.
But I hope it wasn't the opposite, that some black or Hispanic got overlooked because of me. Then I would have walked away from the company, because that's not fair. And that's just who I am. But not everybody's like that.
Yeah. Not fair. Neither is life, but not fair. We can still try to make it a little bit more fair. We're gonna have to follow the story, see where it goes. Maybe Starbucks will sell. Maybe Starbucks will change their mind. Maybe Starbucks will pick up their fists and fight. We'll see. Um, Always an exciting time to be talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the state of Florida. It seems to be an issue every 5 seconds here, more so than most states. But hey, we're along here for the ride. Um, yeah, I think that's my final word. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I want you to like, I want you to share, I want you to
Me
call me
too.
names, whatever you want to do.
Please
Get
call 'em
involved in
names.
the conversation. If you didn't like what I said, if you did like what I said, tell me where we can get better.
Yeah.
You can't make this shit up, and we want you to be part of our community. Make sure you're paying attention.